Hi, and welcome to today's review of this water filter combo by US Water Systems that promises to remove disinfectants, organic compounds, certain metals, and most importantly, fluoride from your home's entire water supply, meaning all taps, faucets, showers, you name it. Sounding good to be true? Well, as usual, we performed our own lab testing for real-life contaminant reduction to verify these claims. So let's not waste any time and let's just dive right in. All right, so in this video, we're reviewing the Bodyguard Plus Whole House Backwashing Filter by US Water Systems, combined with the company's Bodyguard Fluoride Removal Filter. The filter combo supposedly allows you to enjoy municipal, aka city water, free from almost all the stuff commonly found in our water supplies these days, including fluoride. And because it's a whole house combo, you'll have access to filtered water not only in your kitchen, but every room throughout your home. And we'll soon find out if any of this is true when we discuss the results of our lab testing that we conducted comparing unfiltered with filtered water samples. And by the way, Adam and I worked together on this video and we used his basement as our installation location. Now, as you may know, Adam is a part of the BOS water team and he's done a few videos for the channel already. He'll walk you through his experience setting up the system and he'll also share his thoughts on everyday use and maintenance. And I should also mention that we've created a new Google Sheet and it's going to cover all the whole house water filters that we review on this channel going forward. So right now, the sheet contains our full analysis, including lab reports for the Bodyguard Plus and the Bodyguard Fluoride filter. So everything is fully transparent. The sheet also contains our product links and you'll find a 5% discount code. So you can use these in case you want to make a purchase and save a few bucks while supporting our work. The product links and discount code will also be included in the description box. And of course, another way to support us is by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. It would be highly appreciated. One more quick note, US Water Systems has provided us with the filter combo for free. However, we have to return everything once we're done, and we also haven't received any money for making this video. And of course, we paid for all the lab testing ourselves, which is 100% independent. So this is why there's a sponsored tag in the beginning of this video. Okay, so with that out of the way, what do you need to know about the Bodyguard Plus Whole House Backwashing Filter and the Bodyguard Fluoride Removal Filter? So the Bodyguard Plus goes upstream of the fluoride filter, and I'll explain that in a minute. And for us, the Bodyguard Plus came with an optional pre-filter called the Interceptor. Now, the Interceptor is like an advanced sediment pre-filter. Its pleated outer wrap is rated at 5 microns, which is pretty standard and used to trap all kinds of dirt so it doesn't end up in the big media tanks. But inside the Interceptor filter cartridge is another layer of pleated material based on nanofibers. Now, we couldn't verify this in our lab testing, but according to US Water Systems, these nanofibers trap even submicron contaminants, not only mechanically via size exclusion, but also via electroabsorption. So this is different from your regular sediment filter. Contaminants that can be removed include sand, silt, sediment, bacteria, cyst, lead, chromium-6, and other heavy metals. After the pre-filter comes the actual Bodyguard Plus, which is this large media tank filled with coconut-based granular activated carbon and coconut-based catalytic carbon. Now, these two types of carbon are used to improve the overall quality and aesthetics of your municipal water. Generally speaking, they remove chlorine, chloramine, and organic compounds to make your water smell and taste a lot better. And they make your water much healthier to drink and use in other ways by removing a large chunk, but not all, of the potentially harmful impurities and contaminants commonly found in city water. And again, these are primarily disinfectants, disinfection byproducts, and other organic compounds, including herbicides and pesticides, industrial solvents, pharmaceuticals, etc. And certain metals are also reduced, first and foremost lead. Some users have also reported about healthier skin and hair. Now, we're no experts in this, but chlorine and other chemicals can be harsh when you are sensitive. The activated catalytic carbon remove these chemicals and thus the improvement. Also, certain chemicals, including disinfection byproducts, are skin permeable, which is why you can significantly reduce your overall exposure by removing them from the water you use to shower and bathe, etc. And speaking of showering, if you remove chlorine and other volatile chemicals from your home's water, you can also improve your indoor air quality. Now, this is because those chemicals can no longer evaporate into the surrounding air. As for the Bodyguard Fluoride Removal Filter, which comes right after the Bodyguard Plus, it uses bone char to specifically target fluoride, up to 98%, according to US Water Systems. And again, we'll verify this claim in just a bit. Now, aside from that, bone char has shown high reduction capabilities for certain metals, particularly copper, zinc, and cadmium, but also arsenic and lead. Now, 2 side notes here. One, Chlorine affects the performance of bone char, and so you need to pre-treat your water with the Bodyguard Plus or something equivalent in order to reduce chlorine levels below 0.1 ppm. This is really important. 2, the reason why we decided to review the Bodyguard fluoride removal filter is because based on the YouTube comments that we receive here, a lot of people want to learn how to remove fluoride from their water at the whole house level. Well, there are basically 3 methods you can use: activated alumina, whole house reverse osmosis, and bone char. Now, activated alumina seems to be the most commonly used method nowadays, but after our lab testing for the best gravity water filters showed leaching of some form of aluminum into the filtered water, we weren't so eager to test another AA filter anytime soon. And whole house reverse osmosis is very expensive, like up to $10,000 and more, and so we were left with bone char. Now, as the name suggests, bone char is produced from animal bones, primarily cattle and pig. Now, I know this sounds a little weird, but the bones are heated to extreme temperature around 1800 degrees Fahrenheit, so that all that is left in the end is this plain black or brownish granule that honestly doesn't look very spectacular at all, and certainly not nasty in any way. But still, I guess this part of the whole house filter combo is not for everyone. And so we made sure to lab test the Bodyguard Plus and the Bodyguard fluoride filter separately in case you're only interested in one of them. Okay, what else? Well, both parts of the combo come in 3 different sizes. The 10 gallon per minute version is for homes with up to 3 bathrooms. 15 gallons per minute is for up to 6, and 20 gallons per minute for up to 8 baths. You should also know that the Bodyguard Plus comes with a smart valve. Now that's important because it's a downflow system, which means that during regular operation, water travels downward across the filter media bed, which can be more effective than upflow. But it also means that on a fixed time interval, like every 7 days, the smart valve will change the direction of flow for a short amount of time so that water enters from the bottom up. This is called backwashing, and it reconfigures the media bed and mitigates channeling, making sure that filtration effectiveness remains consistent. Plus, backwashing flushes out materials that may have accumulated in the tank, like particulates and debris, and it helps against bacteria. Now, on the downside, backwashing systems have a slightly more complicated install because there'll be wastewater, and so there's a drain connection required. And the wastewater is actually another disadvantage in itself. A standard backwashing cycle with a Bodyguard Plus wastes 140 gallons, so about the same amount of water the average American uses in 2 days. You also won't have access to filtered water while the system is backwashing, which takes about 20 to 25 minutes. But you usually set the time of regeneration to happen at night, so this doesn't really matter, and you'll still have access to unfiltered water. And another con is that backwashing requires an electrical outlet. And finally, the smart valve isn't free, obviously. Now, in case you don't want to deal with any of that, there's also a simpler version of the Bodyguard Plus, which is just called Bodyguard. Now, this one uses an upflow configuration without backwashing because it's not really required. So no backwashing also means no wastewater, no drain connection, and no electricity required. And so according to US Water Systems, this is why this simpler version is more popular among their customers. Now, we only tested the Bodyguard Plus, so the downflow version, but I'll include a link to the regular Bodyguard in the Google Sheet anyway, just in case you want to check it out. With all that said, backwashing isn't the only thing the smart valve on the Bodyguard Plus allows you to do, because you can connect it to your Android or iOS device via Bluetooth and using a free app called Legacy View. Now, the app may not have any crazy graphics or effects, but it allows you to monitor your Bodyguard Plus system and the entire filter combo in real time. So you can check all kinds of cool things like current water flow rate, today's water usage and peak flow rate, average water usage per day, total gallons filtered, and more. So basically, you can study your water usage patterns, and monitoring also helps to better estimate when to replace the cartridges of the Interceptor or any other pre-filter you're using, and also when it's time to replace the carbon and bone char filter media. So just really handy. And this brings me to the coolest part of this video, our lab testing. So here is what we did. We took 3 water samples. One was Adam's unfiltered tap water. 1 water sample was filtered by just the Interceptor pre-filter and the Bodyguard Plus, and the 3rd sample was filtered by the entire combo, so including the fluoride filter. Now, we've reviewed other whole house water filters on this channel before, but for this and all future whole house water filters, we've come up with a new and refined testing procedure, one that we believe provides more reliable results and that is standardized and thus allows for better comparability between the different systems we test. Now, I don't want to waste too much time on this, so just know that now we're able to take freshly filtered water samples at a specific flow rate, which is important because filtration effectiveness is highly dependent on contact time between water and filter media. And the flow rate we chose is 2.2 GPM, since that's the maximum allowable flow rate for bathroom and kitchen faucets sold in the US. And shower heads must not use more than 2.5 GPM, so really close to that. So in other words, we're trying to mimic everyday use. We also wanted to be able to take our unfiltered and filtered water samples from the smallest batch of water possible to lessen the effect of the natural fluctuations of impurities in any water supply. So long story short, our whole house water filter lab results should be much more accurate now than they used to be. Now still please remember that this before versus after lab testing is not an exact science, and so you won't get 100% accurate results for several reasons. And also we can only test for the contaminants that are actually present in our water supply. Okay, let's first discuss the lab results for the Bodyguard Plus, including the Interceptor pre-filter. We saw 100% reduction of chlorine and 3 disinfection byproducts. Now, the last disinfection byproduct, chloroform, was reduced to more than 99%. Usually, we would have expected 100% reduction, but it turns out that Adam's tap water contains an extremely high amount of chloroform, 65.26 parts per billion. So when you take that into account, more than 99% reduction is really good. We also saw 100% copper reduction, but the initial copper level was extremely low to begin with. Where we didn't see considerable reduction was for aluminum, barium, boron, strontium, and fluoride, which was totally expected. This just shows what the US Water Systems Bodyguard Plus can't be used for. How did the Bodyguard fluoride perform? Well, we were super happy to see that it could achieve an 84% minimum reduction of fluoride. Now, what this means is that there was some fluoride remaining in the filtered water, but it was so little that the lab couldn't quantify how much was left, but it was less than 0.1 parts per million. And we also saw 100% reduction in aluminum, which wasn't something we'd intended, but bone char is known for. So this is a great side effect. The little chloroform that was left after the Bodyguard Plus was also removed, and we saw 69% strontium reduction, so not 100%, but it's a start. In summary, and taking all filters combined, we saw 100% reduction of chlorine, all disinfection byproducts, copper, aluminum, and 84% minimum reduction for fluoride. So really great performance, and the filter combo did exactly what it's supposed to do. And by the way, Adam was really impressed and said he couldn't believe how much the taste and odor of his tap water improved. And he said it's really clean now, and the same goes for his showering experience. He even said that his skin has improved a bit. But there is one substance that I haven't addressed yet, and that is methylene chloride. So based on our lab data, there was a tiny amount of methylene chloride, well below the strictest health guideline, found in the water sample taken after the Bodyguard fluoride filter. Does this mean that the industrial chemical was leached by our combo? Well, we don't think so, because we also found a tiny amount of methylene chloride in our raw tap water. So our best guess is that the methylene chloride was added into 2 of our 3 water samples by some of the newly installed plumbing components, like the sampling taps. I mean, we can't be 100% certain, and so this isn't ideal, and we didn't want to keep this from you, but we're also not really worried. I think this is also a good moment to discuss what this whole house water filter combo won't do. Now, most importantly, it won't soften your water. Looking at our raw lab data, you'll find that hardness levels barely changed and remained at around 100 ppm. So if you wanted to soften your water, you'll need a water softener for that. And we're also often asked why there is no whole house water filter that removes everything. So in our case, also 100% of barium, boron, and strontium. Well, you'd need additional types of filter media or filtration methods for that, which means a higher investment. And it's often a better idea to get a separate point of use filter for that. All right, next, Adam will talk about how easy or difficult it was to install the filter combo, and he'll also talk about overall usability and maintenance.
Hey guys, so needless to say, I installed everything following the provided instructions. However, I didn't record most of the process because the installation location is pretty narrow. And this is not supposed to be a guide for how to install a whole house water filter anyway. You can find plenty of guidance online, including YouTube. And you can always ask US Water Systems for help. But in a nutshell, here's what I had to do. So after I unpacked everything, I poured the filter media into the Bodyguard Plus tank using the provided funnel, which was really easy. You just need to pour the media in the right order and evenly around the riser tube in the middle. Quartz gravel goes first, followed by granular activated carbon, and finally the catalytic carbon. Then I installed the smart valve onto the tank. The fluoride filter came pre-filled. And by the way, you can ask US Water Systems to pre-fill all your systems before shipping. The next step was to connect the entire setup to my plumbing. I used PEX and flexible tubing. I first mounted the Interceptor pre-filter. The mounting bracket is included in the package. I then connected the inlet port to my home's incoming water supply. The filter cap is marked in and out, so you don't accidentally install it backwards. The Bodyguard Plus includes different fittings for the smart valve bypass. You can choose whichever you need. The bypass is also marked with arrows to show the proper flow direction. The arrow pointing toward the valve indicates the inlet, so I connected that to the Interceptor pre-filter. The arrow pointing away from the valve is the outlet. I also connected the smart valve's drain port to a nearby drain using PVC tubing. So last was the fluoride filter. On the inlet side, I connected it to the Bodyguard Plus. I needed to flush the filter media before I connected the outlet port to my home. Then it was time to program the smart valve, which was easy. You can use the valve directly or the Legacy View app. I used the valve. I set the time of day and my desired regeneration time. For the amount of days between regeneration cycles, I kept the recommended default setting. The same goes for the length of backwash cycles. Finally, I followed the startup instructions. So basically slowly opening the water supply and bypass valves, purging any air and insulation debris, and allowing the filters to fill. Meanwhile, I checked for leaks. I didn't have any. And then the Bodyguard Plus had to go through a manual regeneration cycle, which you can initiate using the smart valve or app. And that was it. So all in all, I think this US Water Systems combo was straightforward and probably no more difficult to install than most other whole house water filters. Assembling the units isn't hard as long as you follow the instructions. And connecting everything to your plumbing system is DIY friendly. However, you need to know what you're doing. So you need to plan ahead to get all the required supplies. You need to have all the right tools, and you need to know how to use them. And then if you triple check everything for leaks like I did, you should be fine. Now, I myself am not a professional handyman, but I could pull this off. But this also depends on your home and current plumbing configuration. After all, you need to work on your home's main water line. Also remember plumbing codes, and you may require a permit depending on where you live. Also, I have to admit my installation didn't look super clean. So for this video, and to allow you guys to better understand how this setup works, I hired a professional plumber to adjust my installation where needed, and also to double check everything. So how about usability and maintenance? Once hooked up, everything is pretty straightforward. In fact, aside from my water being incredibly clean, you couldn't tell that I have this whole house filter combo installed in my basement if you didn't know. So I guess that's a good thing. Everything is perfectly normal, including water pressure around the house. And all that's required for maintenance is replacing the Interceptor pre-filter cartridge once or twice a year, which is easy. You can also wash the cartridge in case it's really dirty. The carbon and bone char filter media should last a couple years, so no need to think about that with a fresh install. And when it's time to replace the media, you just dump out the old, rinse the tanks, and refill, so it's not rocket science. Both tanks also have a built-in bypass in case you ever need that for maintenance.
Great. So any additional pros we haven't mentioned yet? Well, a few things. Interceptor pre-filter cartridges come with these 2 O-rings. Now this assures 100% filtration with no water bypassing. So this is different from regular sediment filter cartridges. Also, both media tanks use distributors to give the water a swirling motion for longer contact time. And I think this is pretty standard. And they're protected from accidental hits by a chrome cover. A battery comes into play during power failures. Now that prevents the smart valve from losing information, and it prevents issues such as constant draining in case the power failure happens while the system was backwashing. And last but not least, US Water Systems say they try to source as many of the components they use for their filter systems from North America. Now, apparently this isn't always possible, but the Interceptor pre-filter, for example, is made in the USA. Any additional cons? Well, yes, you should not use this filter combo if your water contains too much iron, manganese, or turbidity, or any sulfur. But this is usually only an issue with well water. And pH should be between 6.5 and 8.5. Okay, finally, I want to talk cost. So depending on the size you pick, the Bodyguard Plus, including the Interceptor pre-filter, is currently around $1,450 to $1,950. You could also choose a regular 5-micron sediment pre-filter called the Magna instead of the Interceptor, which makes things a little cheaper. The fluoride filter comes in at around $1,450 to $2,300, again, depending on the size you pick. So for the entire combo, we're talking about somewhere between $2,900 and $4,250. A considerable amount of money, obviously, even when you use our 5% discount code, don't forget. But when you compare that to other brands online, it seems reasonable. Also, there's a lifetime warranty on the tanks, the pre-filter housing, and the fluoride filter head assembly. And the Bodyguard Plus Smart Valve Plus Electronics is warranted for a full 10 years. Carbon and fluoride filter media were warranted for 5 and 3 years respectively. And on top of that, you get a 1-year satisfaction guarantee if you are on city water. Long-term costs are $100 to $340 a year for replacing the Interceptor pre-filter cartridges, which are rated at 6 to 12 months. You can save 10% if you subscribe, but if you still think this is too much, then you can also use Magna filter cartridges, as I had just mentioned. They also feature the double O-ring technology, and they're around $50 a piece. Or you choose a completely different brand for the sediment pre-filter. The carbon media in the Bodyguard Plus tank is recommended to be replaced every 1 million gallons or 5 years on average. So you only replace the media, not the entire tank. And if you buy from US Water Systems, you're looking at $160 to $320 per replacement, including gravel, which again is only required every 1 million gallons or 5 years on average. So really affordable. And the bone char media in the fluoride filter lasts up to 400,000 gallons or 3 years. And if you buy from US Water Systems, expect around $550 to $1,150 per replacement. All right, and that's it. So in summary, in our opinion, the US Water Systems Bodyguard Plus and Bodyguard Fluoride Filter combo is great for people who want to improve the taste, smell, and overall quality of their city water, removing common undesirable impurities and potentially harmful contaminants. We saw great filtration results in our lab testing, including very high fluoride reduction. There are different system sizes for homes with up to 8 bathrooms. The smart valve on the Bodyguard Plus allows you to monitor everything. Usability is great with straightforward installation and maintenance, and upfront and long-term costs seem reasonable. Plus, you are covered by solid warranties and a 1-year satisfaction guarantee. Okay, remember that you can check out our Google Sheet, which lists everything we've just discussed and more. And also check the sheet and the description box for our links and discount codes in case you want to make a purchase. And as always, please don't hesitate to ask questions in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe if you want more content like this, and let us know which water filters you would like us to review next. Thanks for watching.